I went into the bedroom, into my bed. And then I turned, and there was a male presence there. And he was right in the doorway of my bedroom. He was smirking, like it was amusing to him that he was making me uncomfortable.
I continued to back him, and I looked, and somebody's running past me. To me, she seems like a child that was maybe very mischievous.
At first, it's, you know, you have the slight heart attack when you're like, did I really experience that? But after that moment, you're just like, okay, she's just back.
A typical tarot session is basically the way that it works is, you know, somebody wants a reading, and I have all the cards wrapped in a cloth, and I take out the cards, I shuffle them, and I let the person who's getting the reading cut the deck, and then I do a Celtic layout, which is with 10 cards. Wood is a good tool to use, so I would use a wood table and candles, like white candles, pink candles. It's best to have everything, you know, kind of peaceful around you at the time, and I would find that you'd get the best readings from setting it up like that. I'm not sure if the cards can predict that there's going to be, like, negative activity around you as far as spirits go. I think that it's like a door that you're opening. There's ways that you can kind of protect yourself from it, but a lot of people aren't aware of it, and I wasn't aware of it either at the time because I was really new to it, and I didn't know anything about, you know, the spiritual world at that time.
Ghosts, mysterious shadows, objects that move by themselves. This is the realm of the paranormal, and those who report these events usually claim to have no control over them. But what if we could influence our ghostly encounters? Would we open the door to more of these experiences or slam it shut? Hi, I'm Lawrence Chow. Today in Ghostly Encounters, we meet Kelly, Anna, and Colleen. All three claim to have some control over the paranormal. As a young woman in Toronto, Ontario, Kelly Baker experiments with tarot cards. It seems a harmless entrance into the world of the supernatural. But for Kelly, it also opens the door to terror.
Shortly after I started using the tarot cards, there was some type of negative presence in the apartment. I was sleeping and I was alone, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was woken with some type of chanting in my ear. It was startling. It was a man's voice. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but it was a very, like a harsh whisper in my ear. I could feel his breath on my ear. And it sounded very evil, and I couldn't make it out. It didn't make any sense to me. It was so real. I was really afraid that there was someone that had broken in and was leaning over me in my bed, and it was very dark, so I was kind of frozen in fear, and I just laid there until the sun came up. I turned over expecting there to be somebody, and nobody was there. So I got up and I looked around. I looked in the closets. I looked everywhere, and there was nobody in the apartment at all. So when I realized there was nobody in the apartment, I realized it had to have been a spirit because somebody was definitely there. Not even a week after, I had fallen asleep on the couch and I had woken up feeling just there was something there. And I turned over and there was nothing there. So I got up and I went to the bedroom into my bed. And then I turned and there was a male presence there. I went into the bedroom, into my bed. And then I turned, and there was a male presence there. And he was right in the doorway of my bedroom. I remember that he had dark hair and jeans and a leather jacket. He was smirking like it was amusing to him, that he was making me uncomfortable. I didn't feel that he meant any harm, but I felt that he wasn't a very nice person. I didn't really know what he wanted, so I was trying to concentrate on what he wanted so that he would just go away. And I picked up on the name Mark, which didn't have any meaning to me at the time, and something relating to a black leather jacket. So the next day I had spoken to my friend about it and I had asked him, I described the vision that I had seen and he said that's exactly what his stepfather was like. And I asked him if his stepfather had a very evil sense of humor and he said yeah. And he said he really wasn't a very good man. And I asked him, does Mark mean anything? And he said Mark is his stepfather's brother. And I asked if he had a leather jacket that was very sentimental to him, and he said he did. And he said he didn't know where it was, and I said maybe his stepfather wants his brother Mark to have the leather jacket or something. Whatever it is, can you just figure it out so he never comes back again? Because he didn't seem like a very positive spiritual presence to me. Friends asked me if they could have a reading. For instance, the friend that I had mentioned whose stepfather had died. And so one night we were having a drink and we were talking and I would give them the reading and we would discuss each card and see what each card meant. And it was close to midnight. And then something just flashed and the flame of the candles had gone out. His drink that was on the table, it shot up about 1.5 feet, just straight, and then it turned and it went right into his lap. Which doesn't really seem possible. I realized that there had to have been something causing it, something supernatural. It really upset him, and he thought that because I had that experience with his stepfather, he thought that I made that happen. That did frighten me a little bit because that took a lot of energy. I never had anything quite that intense. I thought it was best to stop using tarot cards just because I was having people around me like that just started to become afraid. So I thought it was best just to stop everything. I think that everybody is, has some type of psychic ability. I think that everybody can be sensitive to the spiritual world, but I think that when you start to get more involved in it or start to educate yourself about it, I think that does trigger these types of activities. So I was, I don't know if the word's lucky, but it just stopped.
Kelly believes tarot cards brought the supernatural into her life. For Anna Treviatska and Colleen Young, it's more simple. The two Toronto women live in adjoining houses, and they find the paranormal waiting for them right at home.
Well, the houses are attached, and in the back there is actually a passage where a wall has been knocked out to connect the two office spaces. There was apparently a fire there at some point. The first time I experienced anything, I really worried whether that was real or not. But the more I thought about it, I knew it wasn't that crazy. I knew that I didn't imagine it.
You see little shadows out of the corner of your eye, and you think it's just a trick of the light, but it happens more often than, I'm comfortable with. So we started, discussing various feelings that we'd get around the house and realized that we might have something going on. The first time I experienced anything in my place was about a week after I moved in. One night I was over by my computer. And out of nowhere, I heard this clunk. The first time I experienced anything in my place was about a week after I moved in. One night I was over by my computer. And out of nowhere, I heard this clunk. I noticed that a little action figure that I had sitting on the top of my bookshelf was on the other side of the couch, which is about 10 feet from the actual bookcase. And the fact that I have other, knickknacks sitting on that exact same shelf that didn't move at all seemed a little strange. Those would have been the first to go if it was just a knock on the wall from the neighbors next door. But this thing, it flew across the room. It was a very odd feeling, like, I'm not alone, actually. But then, of course, at that point, whatever had been there wasn't there anymore, and I just put the figurine back. That was probably the first time I thought, well, that's got to be a kid for sure. Like, it just seemed kind of a weird thing for an adult ghost to grab. It seemed like child's play. To be honest, it was almost like she would have had to reach for it because it was on the top shelf, and maybe not realizing that it was lighter than it is, and flew out of her hand, or who knows.
There's days where you sort of sit there and go, oh my goodness, what is it? And you get this creepy cold feeling and you start shivering, and those are the the weird sort of passings that you don't really know who it is or what it is. And just sit there and you go, okay, go away, please go away. You know? I was home by myself and I was cleaning up and just vacuuming the stairs. And I usually have my MP3 as I vacuum in my ears, you know, to listen to music while you're cleaning up. At first I saw something and, you know, thought nothing really of it, but it caught my eye and I think it was just the way I caught the light or turned around or... But I continued to vacuum and I looked and somebody's running past me. I looked and there were 2 little feet with Mary Jane's on it. It was shocking and maybe a little frightening and a little weird because you don't know whether you're really seeing this. That's the first time I actually had confirmation there was something there. I don't see her face or her torso. I've only really just seen the feet and the hem of the dress and sort of the grabbing of the rail, but I've never actually got to see her. You know, a couple of weeks went by and she did it again. And so I'm at the point now where when I see her running, I just yell at her to stop it. Literally, she'll be just running up and down and I'm going, stop. Just stop. Like, it's annoying for her to keep on doing this. But she'll come back eventually and do it again. She does it to get your attention. To me, she seems like a child that was maybe very mischievous, not mean or intentional in any way, but sort of playing little pranks, and maybe that sort of carried on, and she enjoyed, maybe that made people laugh, her little pranks, and I mean, we don't exactly get mad at her, we will chuckle at it. And so maybe this is just a part of her personality, and this is what she's continuing to do. She thinks this is funny.
To me, anything that's happened in my place, it feels like it's child's play. Just simply the actions, the pulling of the doll off the shelf, and or at night when I'm sleeping, I'll notice as I'm kind of settling down that the sheets will suddenly start pulling back a little bit. Just seems to be like, come on, wake up, I want to play. And I have to grab them and stop them from being pulled. At first, you know, I tried to rationalize it, thinking that, you know, oh, I'm just overthinking things and it's probably not happening at all. Now, it's very slow. It's not like she's yanking them down really quickly, but it's just a slow pull, like she's standing at the bottom of the bed before I've, you know, grabbed a hold and said, no, I'm not playing this. It's time to go to bed. I've gotten used to the fact that she does that every now and then. But since then, it's sort of dying off. She doesn't find it as fun, I guess, anymore because I don't react. So it has confirmed my belief than anything else. I never was a disbeliever. My parents, you know, they always taught me to think for myself. So I don't know. It's always been a part of life, I guess.
Well, I agree with Colleen. I guess it's confirmed a belief. Millions of people cannot be wrong. And I just believe a little bit more in them now that this is happening.
Kelly is not alone in believing that tarot cards are responsible for her supernatural experiences. Our experts say it's a common conviction in Christian circles that tarot and other occult practices lead to demonic encounters. Kelly ends her paranormal experiences when she puts away her tarot cards. Anna and Colleen believe that by ignoring the ghost and diminishing her importance, they weaken her power. But the spirit of the young girl seems only to want their attention. One can't help but wonder what would happen if Anna and Colleen, instead of snubbing her, gave her that attention. All 3 women have decided to reduce the role of the supernatural in their lives. Despite this, all of them have been enriched by their experiences.
It's nice to have confirmation that we're not both going insane. I just take it for what it is. It's just somebody else that's hanging out with us that we just can't see.
I hope that if we move ever, she doesn't follow. Then she'll really be a part of our lives. But for now, yeah, she's just there, and she'll be a part of our life until we're there, I guess, or until she gets bored with us and goes away.
If you have a lot of fear over something, especially the spiritual world, I think that like it feeds them and it just, you know, fuels the energy, and I think that it can make things a lot worse. But I don't regret any of the experiences I've had. I think that it's good to have had those experiences. They all happened for a reason, and I'm more aware of things because of it.